Hello and happy Monday. Welcome to another Money Monday with Purse Strings. My name is Maggie Nielsen and I'm a partner here at Purse Strings. For those of you who are new, we are here, to provide financial tips, tricks, pieces of advice to get those wheels turning. And then when you are ready to buy some long-term care insurance, plan for retirement, get divorced, getting married, need a will, any of these, financial transactions or transitions in life, we have top tier professionals who love to serve the female market, all of you wonderful ladies. We call those our Purse Strings approved professionals, and Darla here is one of them. So we're so excited to have Darla on today to be talking about long-term care and kind of debunking everything around that. But before we dive into all that fun, Darla, could you give us a little intro of who you are and what you do?
Yes, certainly. So my name is Darla Serrano. I am a certified financial planner and chartered financial consultant with Guardian and Park Avenue Securities. I've been in the business for 11 years now, and my expertise is working with retirees, pre-retirees, medical professionals is a big one, and single, divorced, or widowed women.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you on today and to kind of bring your expertise to our communities. And if anyone's tuning in live, feel free to pop any questions you have in the chat. And if anyone's watching the replay, still pop in questions and we can work on getting those back to you. Because Darla is a certified financial professional, she does have a little compliance to share before we jump into our questions. So let's hear that nice sentence.
Yes, absolutely. So just wanted everyone to be aware that today's presentation is for informational purposes only, and that each individual situations vary, and the information should be relied upon only when coordinating with your own financial planner or professional.
Awesome. Yep. And as we always say, nobody's cookie cutter, so they should always just talk to a financial professional because we're all unique, have our own differentiation. So that's why you should talk to a personal planner. But we just want to get some information about long-term care. So let's start with, what the heck is it?
Well, long-term care involves a variety of services that are designed to help a person meet their personal or healthcare needs during a certain amount of time. So that could be people as they age, they're unable to do the things that they were once able to do. Things like bathing, changing their clothes, preparing their meals, that kind of thing. And it also involves people who are involved in an accident or they have some kind of disability and they may need some long-term care services. I have a good example of this. One of my best friends from elementary school was in a horrific accident when she was 25 years old. She was married and had 2 children, and she's going to need long-term care for the rest of her life.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not common, but it does happen.
Right.
And what they say about long-term care is that 7 out of 10 people will need some sort of long-term care in their lifetime. And the average time that they need it for is about 3 years. It depends if you're male or female. And then there's a certain percentage of people, 20%, who typically need it for about 5 years.
Wow.
Okay. And actually, what a lot of people may not be aware of is that long-term care is the #1 cause of bankruptcy in people in retirement. And it's also the biggest financial threat to families and relationships. You think about it, people who have family members who need long-term care but didn't have the assets or didn't set themselves up appropriately for that type of event, family members are the ones who typically have to come in and help those individuals. I'm actually one example. My mother-in-law, she has dementia and she wasn't prepared for retirement, doesn't have long-term care. So she's living with us and we're caring for her and we're seeing the active decline in her ability to do things. So it's a big deal for families, and it's something that people should really pay attention to.
It's definitely hard because if you don't take care of it, it kind of falls on your kin, and that's very difficult. And it's kind of a crapshoot because you never know if you're going to need it, when you might need it, how long you might need it. I mean, some people have a heart attack and just pass. But like your friend, from the age of 25, that could be 75 years of needing long-term care. So it's major. And usually you're in a situation where you can't earn that money anymore to support that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's her parents are the ones who are taking care of her at this point. They've been taking care of her. I'm 42. She's 42 also. So all this time they've been
Yeah,
caring for her. Yeah,
that's
it's been a
hard.
huge financial burden for them.
So what type of services are available for care needs?
Okay, so when people think about long-term care, they think about like going into a nursing facility. And while that is part of a long-term care solution, it's not the only one. When a lot of people don't really realize is that, in fact, long-term care can help you stay in your home.
Mhm.
Um, you don't have to go to a nursing home. You can have services provided in your home. In a community setting, such as adult daycare, if you have family members that are caring for you that have to go to work and can't be with you during the day, there's facilities for that. There is also assisted living facilities, and then of course nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities for people who need licensed nurses to take care of them.
Wow. So yeah, there are a lot of different almost levels of ability there.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so what do the cost of these services look like?
Oh, wow. So they range depending on where the person is receiving services. The national average for a home health aide, that would be if you stayed in your home with someone taking care of you, is about $62,000 per year. An assisted living facility, the average is about $57,000 per year. And then nursing home, depending on if you have a private room or a semi-private room, which means you're sharing with somebody, like a semi-private room would cost you about $100,000 per year, and a private room would be about $114,000 per year. But in places like California and Hawaii, those costs are much higher.
Yeah.
For a private room, it would be about $150,000 in California and Hawaii.
Wow. And that would just be your care besides any, like, I guess, medical expenses that you would have and different things
Yep.
on top of that.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And so how do you kind of deal with these long-term care expenses? Is this, Medicare, Medicaid that's going to take care of it? Or, what are the programs out there? How does this work?
So that's actually a common myth. Some people believe that health insurance covers long-term care. It doesn't. Some people think Medicare covers long-term care. It doesn't. Now, there's a caveat to that. They do cover 100 days, but it has to precede an active hospital stay for 3 days. And they don't cover the full 100 days. Like there's copays that are involved in that. Okay. And then some people believe that Medicare is the same as Medicaid. It's not. For Medicaid to cover the cost of long-term care, you would have to spend down your assets, right? So, and then there is also what's called a look-back period, so a 5-year look-back. So Medicaid will look back to see if you've transferred any of your assets out of your name within the past 5 years.
Wow.
To determine if there's eligibility to get approved for that. Okay. And the other thing about Medicaid is if you own a home, once you pass away, they may come after your estate to recoup some of those costs. Okay. So those are some of the common myths. Some people think they don't need to buy it because they're young, which, as I gave you an example earlier, it's not necessarily the case. Anyone can become injured or disabled at a young age. So those are some common myths. Now, the way people typically pay for these is if they have a long-term care insurance policy is one way, or a hybrid product, or they pay it from their own assets if they have assets. And if they don't have assets, then they end up in a Medicaid facility, which is a government-run program. And it's also dependent on, like I said before, income and assets to qualify for it.
And so, for what I know about like life insurance is you generally have to be healthy before you buy the life insurance for them to sell you the policy. Is this the same with long-term care insurance? Is you still have to be healthy and able before you buy it?
Yes and no. So there's like actually different solutions to fixing this problem. So for like a standalone long-term care insurance policy, yes, you would have to be healthy. You have to medically qualify, and your medical history will have an impact on whether or not you can qualify for that particular product. I have a client who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and he'll never qualify for long-term care insurance.
Right.
Okay. There's a life insurance policy that has a long-term care insurance rider attached to it. Yes, again, you need to medically qualify for that. But then there's products like annuities that have long-term care riders attached to them. So annuities, you would be basically funding the annuity with assets that you already have in order to get that long-term care rider. So that's typically for people who are uninsurable.
Okay. And so is there like a best time to kind of buy long-term care insurance? Because at the end of the day, it's still kind of a crapshoot of when you might be injured or need long-term care. We can't plan an accident, but is there an average, time to start looking into it?
Yeah, so the best time to really start looking at it is in your 40s, when you're relatively young and healthy. Anything before that, like if you're a professional working, disability insurance policy may help you with some of those expenses. But when we're looking at covering long-term care, you want to start looking at it, when you're in your 40s.
Okay.
As we age, we don't usually get healthier. We usually get more and more unhealthy.
But I'd say if you haven't had the conversation, it's still a great conversation to have with your professional, even if you're after your 40s.
Yes, absolutely.
Just to talk about.
Yeah, so the average age of the clients that I place in long-term care insurance or some type of hybrid product is about the age of 55.
Okay.
A lot of my clients in their 40s are not really thinking about this at this point. But I do bring it up because it's important. As a fiduciary, I need to tell them what their risks are as they age.
And so I know it's always kind of like an it depends answer, but is this like a monthly payment that you would pay for your long-term care insurance?
It could be. So for people who are healthy, who can qualify for a standalone long-term care policy, yes, it would typically be a monthly premium that you pay into it. If you think about it, it's like auto insurance. You pay for the benefit, but you may never need the benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's there if you need it. If you don't use it, there's nothing to show for it. Okay. Right. Same thing with life insurance with long-term care riders, which a lot of people, like that policy because if they don't ever have a long-term care event, they have something to leave behind to their families.
Right.
Okay. And then like with annuities for people who are typically uninsurable or, maybe people who don't like insurance companies who have assets to fund annuities with, it wouldn't be an ongoing cost. It's typically a lump sum that you put into an annuity contract, but you can certainly design them in a way to make monthly contributions to that as well.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so there's a lot of different options depending on where you're at, health-wise, financial-wise, age-wise, all those different things.
Yes, absolutely.
Because when I was talking with a family member and we were kind of arguing about how I was arguing that long-term care insurance is very important, but they were arguing with me that it was just too expensive, which to me is you pay now or you pay later. So it's a hard debate to talk someone into.
Right. Well, and it actually depends on a lot of different factors. You can design these policies in a way that makes them affordable, right? Like life with long-term care riders, like for someone who's young is very cheap.
Right.
And then the cost of monthly premiums on a standalone long-term care policy would be dependent on age, on their health status, and the amount of benefit that they want to provide in the event that they need a long-term care facility or long-term care help.
Yeah, so it's all about just having these conversations, I feel, just getting informed. And like we said at the beginning, everyone's so unique. You need to have these conversations to really see what's best for you, your situation, your health, your plan.
Yep, absolutely. And one of the things that differentiates me from other advisors is I actually have a tool that I use that I share with my clients. It'll show them which is the best product based on their unique situation. Like, is it going to be a standalone long-term care policy? Is it going to be a hybrid product? Is it going to be an annuity? And they get to see that information firsthand and make their decision based on that.
I love that. That's super helpful. Just kind of a way to assess and figure out what's best for you.
Yep.
And so if someone, were to call you and, was interested in talking about more long-term care policies, what are kind of the first steps to kind of make that happen?
Well, we would have a phone call to discuss what they're looking for, right? Some people want to have just the minimum coverage. Like, for example, I had mentioned earlier, the average long-term care stay is 3 years. So we would look at, starting at that point, having a policy that would cover them for those 3 years. And based on where they live, we'd also look at, okay, what is the average cost of a long-term care event based on where they live? And I'd have them, if they want to move forward with applying, we would look at, okay, which product are we going to apply for, right? And there's some information that I have to take from them, like some health questions, age, those kinds of things. And then that, like I said, that tool that I have will tell me which product is going to be the best one for the client. And I would present that to them before we actually take any applications, right? Because I don't want to put someone in a situation where they're applying for something that they may not qualify for and actually may not be the best for their unique financial situation.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. Those seem like very easy steps kind of to get started.
Yep.
I feel like we've covered a ton of great information today about long-term care. Is there any other tips, tricks, pieces of advice we didn't touch on that you want to make sure is shared today?
No, just to let other people, all the people in your community know just how important this is. It's a big thing that affects families and relationships, and it's really something that should be talked about and looked into.
Definitely. As a kid, to having parents, I'm just like, please get some of this because I don't really want to be your caretaker. Let me know if I will be. So I'll plan accordingly.
Yeah, and sometimes what's hard about that conversation is the parents have a hard time listening or taking advice from their child, right?
Yep.
Even if you're an adult and you're a professional, they still look at you as you're their little child, right? You're their little baby. It's the struggle that I've had with some of my family members. So, if you're able, if your parents or anyone who's talking to their parents or their relatives about this, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, maybe there's a better way is to have somebody else approach them with that information.
Yeah.
Like
that's a great
friend or brother or sister, like someone older than them, if there's that kind of person available.
Yeah, that's definitely a great piece of advice because it doesn't always work coming from the kids.
No.
And so what's the best way for people to reach out to you, Darla?
Best way would be my cell phone or email address. My email address is Darla_Serrano @pacificadvisors.com. You can see it at the bottom of the screen there. Cell phone number too, it's 949-572-5072.
Awesome. And Darla is also one of our Purse Strings approved professionals. So you could check her out on our site, pursestrings.co. That also has her phone number and her email on there as well. But I appreciate you coming on today to provide all this great information. Don't be afraid to reach out to Darla or any professional to start talking about your long-term care needs. Your kids will thank you. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their Monday, and we'll talk to everyone soon. So thank you again, Darla.
Thank you, Maggie, for having me.
Yep. You guys have a great day. Bye.